Good afternoon. It's the Ron and John show. This is Ron and my co-host.
This is John.
And good afternoon on a beautiful Saturday. It's sunny. It's kind of cool. We have another guest today. I mean, it's going to go well. I'm pretty sure. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Russell, and I have to go pee.
What the heck?
Of course, he's got to pee.
Why do you come here and you got to pee? You've had 3 Jesus.
It's like a child.
Oh my God.
Oh, I got to go pee.
It goes from one extreme to another, but that's fine. We'll, work through it. He's going to work through it. I'm not worried about it as long as he don't make a mess of the bathroom. I'm fine. But if he does make a mess of the bathroom, then me and him, I'm going to have to spin kick him, plain and simple.
I've seen your bathroom. There's not much that can be messed up.
I mean, I can understand that. At the same time, it could use some TLC, a lot of TLC. But it only takes like a good 60 hours to clean and like another 65 hours to do construction in there, and about 13 hours worth of painting, and then what is that, like 150 hours pretty much?
So you're talking about demolishing your bathroom and
pretty
rebuild.
much, yes. We're going to have to take the toilet. That's an interesting thing. I do want a golden throne. I don't know, do they make toilets that are gold, out of pure gold, like 14 karat to 18 karat, do you know?
I'm sure they do.
Well, I know someone that would probably know, but I definitely interested because I think, I like the idea of sitting on a gold toilet that is not painted but is made out of gold, and taking my time and enjoying because everyone anymore goes on Facebook or on their phones or go on YouTube and watch that and enjoy the fact that Ron, made that happen to sit on a golden throne. I would feel like a king.
I'd feel better. I'd feel better on a golden toilet, better than the toilet that I just went and used.
Well, you broke my toilet in one house before, if you remember correctly. And stuff like that.
That toilet was going to fall through the floor anyway.
When you weigh 365, it's not going to be hard for it to fall through the toilet there, buddy. I just want to let you know that.
Tequila was involved. Get off of me.
Listen, I
bet that's what every girl said to you.
I mean, especially when you're around Russell. But it's okay, though. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's
I will neither confirm or deny that.
Well, I mean, just gotta be Russell. I understand. So this is Russell. Tell him your whole name if you don't mind.
Russell Henry Sensenig. Sensenig.
Wow, you can spell. Did you
people will butcher my last name to the point where it is incomprehensible. They will say my name, my first name, look at me and go, I don't know what your last name is.
Well,
is this a typo?
Well, my biggest question would be is, did you ever finish in the top 10 in spelling bees?
No.
Are you sure? Because you did that pretty well. Because if you ask me to spell your name again,
I spelled my name wrong.
I'll spell you under Samsung.
I spelled my name wrong when I was about your stepdaughter's age.
Oh, well, that's always great.
I mean, wrong.
Yeah, I
spelled
understand.
it wrong, and it's my last name.
And I do not have a stepdaughter. Thank you very much. So
okay.
Anyway, as we were speaking,
we had.
Listen.
You told me I could not use names.
But still,
so
I don't have no stepdaughter. That's the point. Is so. But you know what? I got kids all around the world, so I call all my kids my regular kids. My sons, my daughters, my nieces, my nephews. I mean, I don't know. I might be paying child support down the road. I didn't have no clue whose daughter it was, and it comes to me and say, "Hey, this is your daughter," and I get a DNA test, and they're like, "Yep, that's my daughter." So, been there, done that. Already wrote the book.
So that being said, welcome back to Real Talk Eastern Shore, your number one amateur podcast.
But that's the good thing.
Because we are amateurs.
Wait, I'm not getting paid.
No. Why would we pay you? I pay you with food all the time.
I know. Are we going to dinner?
No, we're not going to dinner. No, we're not. Because you know what the problem is? When I go to dinner, and say I'll pay for myself. Me and you went out one time, Dover Downs. Okay?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. When we went to Dover Downs, who paid for it?
You did.
Okay, correct.
That was during Firefly, and there was...
I was having no kind of relations with you, and I will never have relations with you, so why am I paying for your dinner? Answer
I was,
that question. No,
I was
answer the
probably
question.
broke.
I
I was probably broke. I was living here and I was probably broke.
But it's okay.
I think it was the first Firefly. It's a casino.
Well, let's just put it this way. I try to support small business, and that includes the OnlyFans models, but I don't really go on there that much. So I can honestly say I don't do that at all. But it's okay. But going back to where we were starting here, this
you
is
for
Russell.
dinner.
You're welcome anytime. Like that's $735,000 that you probably owe me, but I'm not going to sit there and put it on a paper. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's cool like that. Like you're a great person, Russell. So let's start from the beginning. Like, how would you? Where were you born exactly? Like, I mean, I know you lived on the Western Shore some and the East Shore some. Like, where were you born at?
I was born at the old Arundel General Hospital or Anne Arundel Medical Center. It was in downtown Annapolis. I was born in 1986. I'm currently 36 years old. I had to think for a minute what year it was, and it's that hospital is now a apartment complex,
Oh, wow.
and I don't know if it's a senior apartment complex, but it was the same hospital that was used for the birthing scene in, I say birthing scene, the labor and delivery scene in the movie Ladder 49. They were in the process of remodeling it, and they used one or two of the rooms for the labor and delivery scene in Ladder 49.
Okay, so you grew up mostly on the Western Shore, didn't you?
No, I grew up in Greensboro until I was about 12. Moved in with my dad when I was 16. Moved in and lived with my dad until I was 16.
Now, did he live on the Western Shore?
Yes.
So you were Eastern Shore, then back to the Western Shore.
Yep. And then moved back in with my mom when I was 16, 17. Graduated from high school at North Carolina High School in Ridgely, and only went there for 1 year, and then went straight into not the workforce, but got a job out of high school, got a car after high school. Was a little late on doing all the stuff that normal teenagers do. Job, car, girlfriend. Still don't have one of those.
We'll branch off on that later on, okay?
No, we won't.
But yeah, we will, because that's part of what we do here. But go ahead.
There will be a lot of liquor involved.
Okay, well, that's not hard to go. The liquor store is 5 minutes away.
So high school, you got a job. After high school, you got a job, you got a car.
Got a job, got a car, worked in a restaurant business, up until I was about 21. I can remember the exact date that I met Ron, which was August 4th, 2007.
I have dated women that don't even remember what year we were together. And for you to remember the date, time, place, and what you were doing is unbelievable.
I had not gone out for my 21st birthday, gone out to the bar that was near my house, and I don't remember if I had a car or not. I'm trying to remember. It's 2007. I had a car, and I had a couple drinks. I remember that was my first time going to a bar. And
I didn't violate you that day, did I?
No.
Okay, thank
No,
God. I just want to make
no.
sure.
No, he liked it. It
No,
wasn't
no,
violation.
No,
it's
it's
not
not. It's not like
violation.
it's not like the night where I got pantsed out in front of the bar,
But that
running
was someone
around.
totally. That was. Hold on. We'll talk
That
about
was
that later.
that was
Yeah.
okay.
One
Before
thing
you
at a time.
continue,
Or the day I walked into the bar with my wrestling trunks on.
Before you continue, a couple episodes ago, Ron talked about something he was there to do outside the bar. This is that Russell.
Yes, this is the one that when I lost a bet with another gentleman, we had to put our face against his ass. And there is a picture floating on Facebook about it, which is fine. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Sometimes you win bets and sometimes you lose them. And
Sometimes you have
unfortunately-
bare, unshaven butt cheeks.
Well, I mean, you had the HBH going, pretty sure, You know what I'm talking about, correct? So, I mean, I didn't go take a deep look in there. I mean, that's a dark cavern, maybe you should take care of it now on. Manscaping always a good thing for people. I'm kind of scared to even throw a razor near there, so like we'll not get into that. But go ahead. So here's the thing. Like you're going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Let's slow down just a little bit, okay? So let's go back to where you being a child. You know, how would you classify your home life was?
Normal and not normal at the same time. Normal, my parents were married until I was about 7 years old. They got divorced. I actually, in elementary school, was sent to a class that was, it wasn't a class, it was the guidance counselor. Pretty much it was a It's Not Your Fault class, or seminar or whatever, but there was at least 3 or 4 other children whose parents were also getting divorced, because getting divorced in the early to mid 90s was a huge, oh my God. It was the talk of the town if your parents were getting divorced. So there were other kids that were in this class seminar time period of, like, we would get out of class and we would go over there, and they would basically just, it was more so to pick our brains of, how are you taking this? How are you taking your parents getting divorced? And my smart ass, at 7 years old, said, I'm fine. I get 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays, 2 Easters, 2 Thanksgivings. I get 2 of everything. Like, I'm good. And I vividly remember one of the people in one of the adults in that classroom going, "Oh, it'll hit you like a sack of bricks."
And did it finally hit you?
It hit me about 12, when I was about 11, 12, 13, 6th grade. It really started to hit me, and that was part of the reason why I eventually moved over to my dad's house.
So Russell, that's probably something uncomfortable to talk about for you, right? So you
Yeah.
can talk about whatever, something else.
Moved over to my dad's house. Went to a high school with about 2,000 kids in it. So this was right around the time of the 9/11 attacks. Not the school shooter, the DC sniper, Hurricane Floyd, Hurricane Isabel, where I lived over on the Western Shore with my dad and my first stepmom, and it was fine for a couple years, and then I moved back over to my mom's house. Graduated with the kids that I went to high school with, or not high school, but elementary and middle school with, and then I played sports at both schools. I played lacrosse, I wrestled. I didn't do any fall sports. Wrestling in high school was a bit different because the one year I was in horrible shape. The next year I was in great shape. And then the last year I was in horrible shape. But the year I was in great shape, it didn't matter because I wasn't on varsity. So it didn't matter. It was junior varsity. Gotcha. It was practice. It was practice for practice.
So I might as well ask, so, getting a little bit off there, going from one high school to another, going back to the high school you went to, that you knew all the elementary kids in middle school, how was the acceptance from the students, your peers, and how was the acceptance for you?
Most of the acceptance from my peers was fine. There were a few that I realized had grown up to be the kids that they were in middle school, just got amplified to 11 in high school, because I went from a school with an average graduating class of 450 to 500 students per year, every year. For the last 40 years, when my parents went there, it was 800 kids per year every year before they started to separate the schools across over near Annapolis. And going from that to a graduating class of, on average, 210, 220 kids, you couldn't your behavior could not, you could get away with not everything in Anne Arundel County, but a lot. You could get away with a lot of behaviors that any other school system that was smaller, they'd come to the forefront, and Caroline County school systems was very, in a way, proactive, but also in a way they did not assist students that had any sort of behavioral issues. They railroaded those students out of there, or tried to, or just made it near impossible for those students to do anything, to progress to the point where they would drop out. I never wanted to drop out. I think I told my, principal my senior year, I've got 3 months left. You will never see me again.
Is that true though?
Yes, I've seen him as an adult, and he's like, well, I haven't seen your name in the paper for doing anything stupid to get arrested. So,
But
I mean,
he has seen you again though.
yes.
So you went against your own word.
Well,
You went against your own word.
Not in
You
what
know-
he meant, though.
I know, but it's good because he's supposed to come back and say no. It was
I-
this way.
yeah, I've seen him as an adult, but like I said, he almost has you didn't turn out to be a criminal. You didn't turn out to be a grade A piece of
Crap.
You actually like did something for yourself.
So is that what he thought you were going to be?
I don't know, because I wasn't in his head, but I know that I personally just did not like being at that high school, going from a school where I was,
You blended in.
I blended in the background,
Yeah.
and to a school where
There
I
was
was
forefront, pretty much.
more than in the forefront. It was, yeah. So I mean,
But I mean, at the same time, like going from one high school to another, and the fact that there is underlying circumstances between everything. It has to be tough mentally. I mean, because there's friends from one school to the other.
I'm still
And,
friends with almost everybody that I went to high school with. I mean, if I found them on Facebook, I'd add them.
But before Facebook, a book face, whatever we want to call it.
We had
you know what I mean?
MySpace.
Oh yeah, we did have that was the good times back in 1930, something like that.
We had
Yeah.
MySpace. I mean, I'd love to try to get back on there at some point, but my MySpace pages connected to my MSN page, my MSN account. My MSN account I can't get into because I linked it with my other MSN account and I forgot that.
You'll never
So,
remember that. You'll
no,
never remember
I
that. Yeah.
will never be able to get back.
Oh yeah. So I think because right now you were diagnosed of having Asperger's.
I never got diagnosed. I never got a 504 done, which is a 504 plan is basically a education plan through the Board of Ed that you're supposed to do for kids that are at risk for autism or not at risk for autism, but could be diagnosed with it and or show the signs and symptoms of it, because there's different variables. You have your children, because we'll get into this a little bit, but you have verbal, nonverbal, high functioning, low functioning. You have people that could be diagnosed with it as adults. You go back through history, you could diagnose some world leaders with not autism, but with certain types of neurological disorders because of the way that they acted, the way that they took care of themselves, the way that they just the way that they were. It wasn't, autism really wasn't like brought out into the forefront until like the mid 1900s to late 1900s, like shorts. Well, I work for the Benedictine School in Maryland, which is I used to work. I worked full time for 10 years. I currently work part time there. It is a school primarily for autistic and special needs children / teenagers / young adults. That the easiest way say it is I worked with mentally challenged children, teens, and adults for the last 10 years, 12 years. The last 2 have been super part-time. I currently work for a local county government's EMS system. I work there full-time. I work at the Benedictine School part-time. I also I volunteer at a fire company, local fire company. I work for another local fire company, and I used to work for a private ambulance company, which private ambulance is the people that take people home. They take people back to nursing homes. They take people to mental health facilities, hospice facilities. But working at Benedictine, I realized that there was a lot of traits that I had and that other people that I know have, but were never diagnosed because you have to meet X amount of... Yeah, there has to be X amount of stuff done to prove that you have it, but to prove that you have autism. But it's Asperger's is essentially your high-functioning autistic men and women, and is people that can get super they could talk to you about anything and everything in the world, almost like what I'm doing on this podcast right now, where I'm just info dumping.
You sometimes throw some useless knowledge my way, and I'm like, huh? Why are we talking about 1840? Like, I'm like, what's going on?
I've been told that by multiple people that
It's not my knowledge that I need, but I mean. It's
I was gonna say it's not knowledge that anybody needs, but I know it for some reason, and I've been that way for years. In elementary school, I was at like in first or second grade, I was at a 5th or 6th grade level with almost all of my classes, and then 4th, 5th grade hit, 1995, 96, and Ritalin became my best friend. And then I was on Ritalin. I got prescribed Ritalin, Zoloft. Zoloft didn't really work. Concerta, Strattera, lithium, and Risperdal, and those were all. Medicine A would help with one thing, but would cause an issue that medicine B would have to cover, and then medicine C would cover the issues from medicine B, and then medicine D would cover the issues from medicines A, B, and C.
Well, I mean, did they work together? I mean, that's
to
a lot
a
of
point.
pills, you know?
To a point, they worked together until my senior year of high school, and then I was on too much of one of those meds, and they had to take me off of one of the meds or lower my dosage, and I stopped taking my meds altogether 18 years ago. I was
just stone cold dropped, or
everything but my antidepressants up until I was about 21. Okay. I stopped taking my antidepressants when I was legally old enough to drink, because I did not want to be taking antidepressants and be legally old enough to drink and mix the two together. I also, both of you know this, as I was in my mid-20s, I would binge drink, and I would binge drink a lot and do very, very stupid things.
Indeed.
You've said a lot of stupid things. You've done a lot of stupid things.
Yes.
But I do gotta admit, like, I dealing with drunks like I did for 20 years. Like, I gotta admit, like, when you went, I would say, down, as in passed out, it was, you kind of usually you see it coming.
It was a roller coaster drop. It was.
But yours is like a drop, because you'd be like, I'm about to boom, and you're like,
yes, the falling backwards next to the dumpster on my 28th birthday.
Let me tell you something. I still feel that pain picking you up. It was 4 of us, I think.
Yeah, I do
blanket.
too.
Yeah, it was a blanket or something like that.
It was a blanket from your house, John.
Yeah.
And that house no longer has a garage. It is now that there's a wall across where the garage was. But I remember waking up the next day, no glasses. My glasses were somewhere in the house. I had to go find them. Laying on a blanket, not knowing how I got there.
I
And
want to say it was cold.
no, it wasn't.
Was it?
It wasn't. My birthday's in
Yeah,
July.
that's right. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe
It
the
was.
wrong one.
Oh, it was bad the next day though, because I don't remember.
How you doing?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I woke up at 4:00 in the afternoon. I just knew my neck hurt, but apparently I'd been out for a couple hours that night. But that was also, like I said, I binge drank. I can guarantee you that year, that was one of 3 times that I drank, because I did not want to, nor did I not. I knew my limits with drinking, and that night, I drank way too much. But
You think?
I know it hurt. Everything hurt the next day. I can't drink now. I mean, I can.
Choose not to.
I choose not to. I'm a type 2 diabetic on a bunch of blood sugar medications that work, and alcohol is not trying to do the whole health nut craze, but alcohol is empty calories. It's also empty sugars.
Gotcha.
I've told people if I want to drink, or if I want my blood sugar to spike, I'd rather have some good food than good alcohol, because the alcohol will hurt going in as much as it does going out. Because I would, if I got sick, I would be throwing up.
Yes.
Waste of money for liquor, and waste of money for food.
But I mean, from my understanding, drinking. Some people drink to escape.
Yes,
it's their way to
I've-
get out of the society.
All 3 of us have seen that.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
I've seen that before, where people will drink to escape, or drink to try to escape to
I guess another land, like to wherever they want to be or whoever they want to, because alcohol is like liquid courage. Like you get an S on your chest, you think you're bulletproof, you act like a fool, you fall down, you think you want to get in a fight.
Or
There's different types.
or people that are already in a depressive state. It just
Makes it worse.
amplifies that and makes it not a million times worse, but
Makes it worse. Period. Though.
this makes it worse to the point where it's they should not be allowed near alcohol.
Yes.
But
It's legal
It's-
if you're over 21. And I mean, the thing is, like, the one thing I remember about that night was your car seat, which was a bench seat all the way across. I do believe, correct?
It had
Yeah.
a hole in the driver's seat.
Yeah, man, that thing sucked my butt all the way in. Like I literally probably could have hit the bottom of the floor and felt like the Fred Flintstones and driving with my feet, and just that's how fast we were going to go. Because like that seat was tore up. I don't know what it did. I don't know what was going on with what Russell did with it.
so during the double blizzard of 2009 into 2010, my ingenious self decided to wear my turnout gear home. Turnout gear is your firefighting gear. I decided to wear the pants home, and I sat on the seat. One of the things on my seat, something on my gear popped a hole in my seat. Well, or messed a hole up in my seat. That seat eventually, just me being at my heaviest, which was, you said earlier, 360. I was probably 380
Where
at my
you
heaviest.
know that? You're about 360.
I was somewhere between 360 380. I didn't weigh myself back then.
No, I can understand.
It kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then finally you sat in the seat. It was pretty much the not metal frame underneath, but essentially it was the metal frame underneath of the cushion
Good times. Good times.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that car, I drove. I helped DD people because I figured if I'm not going to drink, I can at least help people get home. And that car drove people down to the St. Michael's shopping cart races multiple years. You could fit 6 people comfortably in that car.
How many is the most you had in there?
7.
You should have had 10.
I couldn't fit 10.
You can fit 10. Oh, trust me.
I could
I'll put 9 in a tempo. You can fit 10 in your car. I can promise you that.
I mean, I could
It's just
probably
not gonna be safe.
I could probably fit like 3 or 4 people in the trunk. Grand Marquis at the time had a very, very, very large trunk.
You know, that was one of the options we were thinking, right?
Putting you in the
Was
trunk.
throwing me in the trunk?
Yes,
We just
that
couldn't
was-
lift you up.
it was 4 of us, and we were struggling.
Well, 2 of the people are here, and the other 2 people that I'm thinking about physically fit. Yes, could they have lifted my dead weight self up? Probably not.
No, that's why when we got to my house,
You
rolled out that
rolled out the blanket
put
and
you on it and dragged the blanket into the garage.
oh yeah, well, yeah.
Couldn't do anything else after that.
No, and that's where I stayed.
That was good times. Like
Yeah.
I said, that was good times. And
It's almost as good as the time. It's almost as good as the time when I passed out on the toilet at a banquet, and somebody had to come pick me up in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yeah, that was fun.
well, my only question
They-
to that was your pants still around your ankles when you.
Oh
passed
no,
out?
I was projectile vomiting into a trash can and using the bathroom at the same time. I apparently was told by people that I know, he's in there, and they pointed John towards the bathroom and heard you come into the bathroom say, "All right, well, it's time to go."
Okay.
Okay, John. Okay, where are you taking me? Home. How is my car getting there? I don't know. That was your answer. I don't know. We'll figure that out tomorrow morning.
Day by
Dumbass.
day by day, like when you get into situations like that, you just gotta go with the flow. You know, if someone's coming to pick you up, you know, your
Yeah.
car is secondary, your safety is first. You know, and that's the thing. And
yeah.
Thank God. And the fact that you've always been a DD, that you know, that shows that you know you care about
Well,
others.
the fact that when you moved 180 feet from the bar, and I counted it out drunk one night because I walked over to the bar, stood at the front door, and walked home. Somebody was behind me and was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm figuring out how many feet it is I can stumble to my house." And they're like, "You don't live there." I was like, "I rent a room here. I don't own the house, but if I can at least make it onto the property, I'll be safe."
You hope.
I hope.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the front door of that place. What was the thing that we said? Oh, because you lived across from a graveyard. Oh, that's a spooky ghost just coming in to say hi.
Yeah. Good old Ridgely. You know, I mean, I loved that White House. That was a beautiful place. Inside and outside. I mean, some stuff went on in there that we will not speak about.
The walk
ever.
of shame.
There was a lot of walk of shame.
There was at
going
least
back
2
and forth.
walk of shames there. The one. Didn't you have somebody that lived in the attic?
So
No.
that comes about where there was a gentleman that was looking for a place to stay, didn't have no place to stay, and literally I was like, "Listen, you stay in my attic. That's the best place I can give you." And I mean, it was a big attic.
It was a decent sized attic, and it was, it had a floor on it, which was the main portion. The main issue was it needed. It didn't need
Just
walls.
wasn't furnished.
No, it
You know
wasn't
what I mean?
furnished,
And that's the thing.
but it was
like,
better than the basement.
well, if you think about it, it was better than nothing because he didn't have nothing.
I know.
So at the end of the day, you know, it was kind of like, you know, you could stay here. Was it a good idea? Eh. Sometimes I say
At
yes,
the
sometimes I say no. But I mean, at that point in time, I had been through what I've been through, being pretty much, you know, homeless, and then getting a little bit of help, and then moving on, and you know, having a place that I can stay, that I can call my own, and I was renting. And I mean, Russell, you know, I asked Russell.
No,
I
you
said,
asked me, and you asked me in the middle of February or middle of January of 2000.
Did I ask you to marry me?
No,
Okay, good,
no.
good.
I
wasn't
lived
sure
with
about that
John
one.
from what, May of
2012-ish. I think that's when I bought the house.
2012ish to about to December of 2014. Lived on my own at a place that I don't even want to talk about for a year, and then Ron, not spur of the moment, but hey, do you need a place to live? And I said sure, and I moved in with Ron in 2000 and early 2015. Lived.
Was it 215?
It was 2015. I know it was.
No, because after he left,
Yeah, that's
you
right.
moved in with
You
me
moved
for a
in
while.
with
Yep.
you moved in with John, and then I moved out, and then I moved in with you in January or February of 2015. Lived at the house, moved with you and
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
and moved with you and her here,
Yep.
where we're at doing this podcast, and then got back on my feet again and moved out, and now I rent a studio apartment by myself, which is great, except for no internet. But it has all the amenities. I have a stove, I have a dishwasher, washing machine, dryer, shower, toilet, and a place to put a bed. Like
That's all that matters. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, at least you got warmth, you got coolness with AC, right?
Yep.
You got a fridge. Now the biggest thing now is to get yourself to where your next level you want to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, if you look at your overall, being a DD, you like helping people. You like, helping people out. You're in the medical field to a certain degree with being, stuff like that. Trying out to be, you'd like to follow your father's footsteps, I take it?
Yes. He was a career firefighter. He was a paid firefighter for 22 years. Been trying to get into the career firefighting field, which itself is super competitive. It's a very niche field. It's a very small field, but the competitiveness of the hiring is it's up there, because I'm currently in a process right now that starts off with about 2,500 to 3,000 people that they have to dwindle down to 50. And they do that through a written test. It used to be a panel interview, but a written test, panel interview, background checks, and then finally a physical agility. And I've gotten to the physical agility portion of the process twice. Currently, this is my second time. It is no joke. I also have been I've applied at a couple different places. One of them's an airport fire department. One of them's the city of Baltimore. They have a fire side and an EMS side of the department, and it'll get me experience. Where I work, we might run 2 calls a day. I've had a 36-hour time period where I haven't run a single call. There was a 60-hour time period where the unit that I work did not run a single call, and then the city of Baltimore, you'll run 24 calls or not 24 calls, but you'll run in a 24-hour time period. A single unit could run 24 or more calls. You could be running more than a call an hour. It'll get you experience.
Well, I can
It's where I'm at. I'd like to do that. I'd like not to run all those calls, but I mean, I'd like to get the experience. I did professional wrestling. I still do professional wrestling.
we were going to get into that, matter of fact. So what is your
My
name?
okay, so there's a backstory to the story about wrestling. So in 2012, 13, 14-ish, 2011, 12, 13-ish, I went to a house party at a friend's house, and they wrote the name Russell the Love Muscle on a chalkboard. And I thought it was funny. I took a picture of it. It was on my Facebook for a while. Thought nothing of it. It was just like, it's Russell Love Muscle. It's just a nickname. Fast forward to 2014. I enjoyed wrestling as a kid in the late 90s, like the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, the death of WCW, that type of that era of wrestling. Stopped watching it as an adult. Got interested in it again. There was a wrestling event that was.
How you doing?
There was a wrestling event that was at the firehouse up the street from me. Went there, got introduced to a promoter. Promoter was like, I'm going to start a wrestling school up. Wrestling school got started. A group of about 25 to 30 of us started out, and it dwindled down to 5. During one of the first, we were going over promos, and we were going over what we were going to call ourselves. And I sat there and nonchalantly said, I'm Russell the Love Muscle. And like everybody like cracked up in practice. Like it was, looking back on it, maybe not everybody, but there was a lot of people that thought it was funny. I've been a fan of comedy wrestling, which is like you're not taking yourself too seriously. You're out there to have fun. It's I realized I could get a lot more doing comedy wrestling than being like a bad guy, being a good guy. You can do comedy wrestling and be a bad guy, which basically means you're the butt of the joke all the time.
Gotcha.
That started my 28th birthday. 2014, my 28th birthday. I started wrestling practice, had my first match, which was a battle royal. That was in 2014. Had my actual like first match in 2015.
So here's the thing. So like we'll put you in the battle royal the first time, okay? Before you walk down that ring and you realize that you're going in front of
it was 600 people at the time.
600 people, okay? How'd you feel? Like what was?
Oh, absolutely, God. So at that time I didn't have contact lenses, so I was my vision is horrible. It's 2,500 in both eyes. 2,500 plus in both eyes. It is bad. Like I have a Gatorade bottle in front of me right now, and at arm's length I can't see the small print.
God damn, I'm never going to drive in front of you.
So I was absolutely blind, or pretty much blind, in a ring with at least 30 to 40 other people, because it was what was considered a student battle royal, which in the wrestling business was never. It had been done before, but not with the inexperienced people that were wrestling at the time. Now, when I say that, because I know there are people that are going to see this and they'll hear it. When I say inexperienced, not all of us were inexperienced. There were some of us there that are still wrestling that were very experienced. They were the ones that
guided you guys through.
That guided us through. That the guys like me, the brand new guys, we got our couple moves in, and then we got thrown out, and I was happy as a pig in shit. Like I thought it was great. And then I became a referee. I helped out refereeing a bunch of matches. I actually traveled a lot more and helped out as a referee than most of my friends did in the business as wrestlers. And I was also, being the guy that's the DD, I drove to Pittsburgh one day with a group of guys that one of the guys now owns his own wrestling business, and drove to Pittsburgh with them, drove to Nashville with them, and they had a couple drinks. I was the one that was driving. It was my car. I trusted myself to drive. I didn't want anybody else touching my car, and we drive down to Nashville. We did that 3 times in one summer. I got to go to North Carolina on a whim. Like, person called me at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night and said, "Do you want to?" It might not even been 6 o'clock. It was sometime in the afternoon on a random weekday, and said, "Are you available tomorrow to go to North Carolina?" I said, "Sure." And we went to North Carolina, and I refereed a couple matches, and helped set up and tear down the ring. And then I got paid to do that.
What was the farthest journey you went?
Non-stop. Well, I went to Pittsburgh one time, wrestled for I drove 5 hours up, wrestled for 10 minutes, and drove 5 hours home. The longest non-stop journey. That was the longest, like, non-stop, like no stops in the middle, just boop boop, and we're done. The longest where we stopped, got meal, and were there for at least a couple days each time, was Nashville, and I did that 3 times. That was also the summer of 2016, which was when I got. I volunteered to help with a company that is now out of business, but they had a TV deal. I volunteered to help out backstage. Did that for months on end. Enjoyed it. Helped out with shows in Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston, New York, and Lowell, Massachusetts. And learned a lot about the wrestling business. Learned a lot about, not myself, because that's sort of a cliche thing, but learned a lot about the wrestling business. Learned about people, about how to interact, when to interact with people, when not to interact with people, when to talk, when to react. I know there was probably video somewhere out of one of the wrestlers was supposed to come out as a security guard, came out, and I mean, I was 300 pounds. I wasn't cut, but I was 300 pounds in a black shirt and black pants. I looked like a random goon of a security guard.
Yeah, you kind of.
And one of the wrestlers grabbed me by the shoulders and absolutely scared the living shit out of me. And TV camera pointed right at my face. Did not know how to react. That's what I meant by learn how to react to people. I was not supposed to react to that at all. So then later on, same show, they sent me out as the medical relief person, and they would film like 4 shows at one day. Yeah. So this was 4 weeks later on the TV show. I came out as a medical assistant, and one of the referees, I think was the referee in the first match when I got scared, looks at the guys and goes, "Clean up their pubes." And I'm like, okay. And stone face, just one of the guys, they beat the crap out of each other. It was a tag team match, and his beard, some of the hair of his beard had come out. Wow. And they looked like pubes. So I'm not trying to laugh, and I knew the referee was doing it because he wanted to see how, if he could make me laugh, make me like giggle, and running out there, 2 of the other wrestlers didn't know that I was running out behind them, and mind you, I was 300 pounds. I was the smallest wrestler here. I would go into names, but I don't know. Yeah. Between the referee, all 4 wrestlers, and myself, I was the smallest person out of 6 people. They were all 300 plus pounds people. But it was funny because I'm trying to fit through a 4-foot walkway, and I literally get 2 300-pound wrestlers turning around to me with their fists up in the air because they thought I was a fan trying to run out and do something. And I did the, excuse me, medical person coming through, excuse me. Not in that high-pitched of a voice, but
I can see you doing that.
Yeah,
like,
why would you do it now if you didn't do it then?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to like yell at them, but I also was like, I'm part of the show. I need to
Right.
go out there.
Yeah.
That was my first night I fell in love with helping out. And then a couple shows, about a year later, I messed something up. We were supposed to go out and pull these guys apart, and it never happened, or it happened too late. One of the wrestlers got mad at me, and then I realized this was like 2017, like early 2017. And I just realized like I've worn out my welcome. Like if he's mad at me, I've worn out my welcome, and
Gotcha.
I also there was money in wrestling if you're athletic and if you can promote yourself, and a lot of it's a look, a lot of it's how you promote yourself and how you carry yourself, how you can conduct yourself in a locker room and out in front of people.
Now I will say this.
Not saying that.
Now we'll say this. When I seen you wrestle,
Which time?
I've seen you wrestle a couple.
Was it the time where I fell and burnt my ass cheek?
That was pretty impressive. Like doing it on a blacktop would do that. But your pink,
My
Tights.
neon pink, neon
Pink.
green.
and it has, I do believe, love muscle in the back, right?
Yeah, the love
Yeah.
muscle in
And-
like big 1970s like psychedelic funky
yes.
print. Yeah,
And the worst part is, and don't get me wrong, you know,
it leaves
you
nothing
are-
to the imagination.
yeah, well, the worst part is the imagination gets worse because when you come out in it, it's so bright because you're doughy white.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you're
well,
like paper white. Like literally.
like I do not tan at all, and when I do tan, it is
burn.
I burn. 6 years ago, I was I was on a accident call, and we were out at this accident for hours on end, and I took my coat off after about the first 40 minutes after everything that we did that needed to be done, but we had to wait for the wrecker and all that stuff. We were out there for a couple hours. I got burned. I had a tank top burn for about a year, where the tank top was the area underneath the tank top was the only white part of my upper body.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, when you were wearing that pink little, tight, and showing your white doughy self, I mean, it just.
Oh, it gets worse when somebody chops me.
It turns red.
It turns red, like to the point where like it welts. And there's sometimes where I've had bruises afterwards because they've chopped me that hard because it's that white.
So my question is, do you feel that's good as wrestling, because it shows that this wrestling is not fake. I mean, it's choreographed to a point. You know
To
what
a
I mean?
point,
To a
but
point. Yeah, but I mean, there's real stuff.
But you go out there,
Yeah.
and accidentally step into the wrong part of the ring, or your leg just says, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna fucking break today." You have to think on the fly. I haven't, luckily, knock on wood, have not had any of those issues happen. Or as a referee, I have not had any of those. Wait. I haven't had those issues happen. I've stepped on people's hair before, which I am sorry for if they're listening. I've done that
We got
multiple.
3 listeners, go ahead.
I've done that multiple
We
times.
got a live audience. What are you talking about?
There you go. You're right.
I was gonna say he's on his phone. He could care less.
Yes. Well,
But it's luckily I haven't gotten hurt seriously. Seen people get knocked out, like temporarily knocked out, or knocked the wind knocked off them.
It's very physical.
It's super physical, and you're trusting somebody sometimes that you've never met to be able to do.
What needs to be done to get the match and themselves over.
Yes,
Probably the best way to put it.
but you've also got other people that will, to get themselves over, will make everybody else look like trash.
Gotcha. I totally understand that. I mean, the thing is, you're talking real, so like I appreciate you talking real, about that. So when's your next match?
There is a wrestling show October the 15th,
Or
Saturday. So
Saturday.
it's a week from today. I don't know
Saturday.
what currently I am doing.
But you'll be there?
I will be there. It's in Houston, Delaware, at the Firehouse in Houston, Delaware.
Isn't that body slam breast cancer or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's what
I mean,
John
Tank was
Miller was talking about
Tank.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, if Tank,
You know,
I
so-
believe Tank was talking about that.
Yeah,
last
he
week.
was. Yes. He was said he might be stopping in because like his schedule's kind of a little bit light to hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about we might have to stop in ourselves and check it out.
I
Cause
mean,
it's for good
it's
cause.
the last time. Well, not last time. So, where my
Oh wait, before you continue, I remember 2017 and before, you weren't really getting paid except for like if you were driving.
Oh,
people,
no,
it
when
was
I-
gas money.
when I lived with you,
Yeah.
I was paying to train, and then it was people were paying gas money to go here there. I didn't really go anywhere until I moved out of your house, until I moved out of John's house.
Right. So when you're refereeing, are you getting paid?
Yes.
Okay.
When I'm wrestling, I'm getting paid. Back then, I was not. How both of my worlds sort of intertwine. I am a member of a volunteer fire company in Caroline County, Maryland. They had the local fire company down the street from us. A couple of years after the show I went as a fan, another fire company had a string of shows at their firehouse in their bingo hall. And I'm standing there one night, and about half an hour, 45 minutes before my match, and I look on my phone, and there's a house fire. And I look at the address, and I realize it's Ron's house.
Yeah.
And Ron, your son,
I wasn't even home.
Ron's son was cooking steaks on the grill and had not cleaned the grill that night, or
Yes.
the last time that he cooked, or the time before that.
Probably like 30 times.
And somebody was driving past Ron's house, which was right on the roadway, next to the bar, and saw fire on the front porch that was creeping up, not the front porch, but it extended out the bottom of a gas grill. Standing there, looking at it, hear the fire trucks go out. Mind you, I'm in my full wrestling gear, regalia, whatever you want to call it. I was in trunks and my boots. And my first thought was, I'm going to go in this fire truck in wrestling gear and go to Ron's house. I'm probably going to get chewed out for it, but one of the other wrestlers came up there. I think I actually called you, or I called her to see if see if everyone was okay. You were pissed. One of the wrestlers came up to me because I had somebody just shot my dog face, and looked and went, "What's wrong, Russell?" And I went, "My house is on fire." And they looked at me and went, "Why the fuck are you still here?" Because there's nothing I can do. If the house is going to burn down, it's going to burn down right now. If it's at that time I was listening to the call, and when I realized it was a gas grill on fire on front of the house, I knew that it was not going to burn the house down.
Well, hold on. Here's what I had the problem with. Being a volunteer firefighter, I know things that go good and bad and everything like that. It was someone that was being nosy that rode by, and they said, "Oh, I can ride on a fire truck and go to a house because it looks like it might be on fire." And that's exactly what it was, because someone was doing the little, "Oh my God, I want to go. We haven't had an alarm in a couple days," or something like that. I know how it works, you know what I mean? So I was mad about that, number one.
Oh,
Number two, I was mad about the grill not being clean. And three, I'll be honest with you, if I ever found out who did that, I'd probably have some words with him still to this day. Because you know what? I'm not saying I'm a professional. I'm not saying that I've experienced everything in the fire service. But I can tell you right now, if I see a grill over there and I'm looking as I ride by, probably about 30 miles an hour, I can tell you if it's on fire or not. It was not on fire. It's because someone wanted to make more of it. And that's fine with me. God bless them. they can have that little ride on the fire truck that goes woo 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 woo, make them feel happy. If that made them happy that day, go right ahead. But the house was not on fire.
I was gonna say the house was not on fire. So when I said to one of my fellow wrestlers, "Oh, my house is on fire," and then I looked at him and said, "But it's not completely on fire. It's just a grill." That was also, I believe, if it wasn't the same night that my parents were there, we had like 4 or 5 shows at this firehouse over the course of like 4 or 5 months. My parents came to one of them. I've been afraid of wrestling, of screwing up in wrestling. I've been afraid of missing spots. I've been afraid of hurting myself or peeing or pooping myself. I know it's happened to people before, but I've been afraid of that. That is like one of those like subliminal fears of you mess up, you blow yourself up, you get hit hard enough, you poop yourself a little or you pee yourself a little. That nothing compares to wrestling in front of your parents who haven't sat next to each other in more than 20 years. The last time they sat next to each other was when they were getting divorced.
Wow.
And
well, my question is, why are you so worried about it in the ring when you don't worry about it when you're at my house? You haven't started yourself?
Oh, we're not going to talk about
that. Exactly, we're not going to talk about that.
Everybody does it. It's part of the cool kids crowd.
Yes, there you go.
No, so I was
embarrassed, right?
A little bit. We're going to circle back to that.
But no, because you know what? We also got to remember, we also have something for you to do today. Which you accepted.
Yes.
You accepted the one chip challenge.
I want to get back to the one more thing, and we can do the one chip challenge.
Okay.
My dad came to a wrestling show dressed to the nines, like super out of place for a wrestling show on the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
And all the wrestlers looked down they were in the ring. They were somewhere. They were near the ring before the show. My dad walks in. And the wrestlers looked around and said, "Well, the state commission's here."
Suit and tie.
Suit and I don't know if it was suit and tie, but it was definitely a Hawaiian shirt with khakis, with a belt. He had glasses. He looked so far out of place. Button-down Hawaiian shirt, really nice, like ironed khakis. And I walked up to him. I walked up to my dad and hugged him. And the guys were like, "Why? Like," and I was like, "That's not the commissioner. That's my dad. The commissioner, the state athletic commissioner, will have like a badge and some kind of identifying credentials." Mm-hmm. And they were like, "Oh," and I'm looking at him like, I mean, he could be the commissioner if you want him to be, but he, I was more afraid of messing up in front of my parents than I was I was more afraid of that, and I was more afraid of the guys that I was wrestling that night were notorious bad guys in that promotion. And there had been stories and instances where other wrestlers' mothers and fathers had one too many and were seeing their child get the crap kicked out of them and tried to become part of the show. I was afraid. Well, I should have said this also. Neither one of my parents appreciated or liked that I did wrestling, that I chose to do that as a hobby. Well, I shouldn't, and now that I've said it as a hobby, but it's more of a hobby / mental health release. Because just like the fire department, it is a bunch of men most of the time that are the drama between a bunch of grown men is nearly I've never seen it in wrestling or in the fire company, but it is a
dysfunctional family.
Yes, like we'll put up with each other. We'll shit talk each other. We'll fuck around with each other. But at the end of the day, if somebody was to come in and fuck with us, we'd stick up for each other.
Well, that's good.
I was definitely afraid of screwing up in front of my parents. I was also afraid of my parents thinking I was getting my ass kicked, because I want to say that night I got hit with a chair very hard,
Nice.
and that left welts on my back. I think I was bleeding. It was fun though, because like I got to perform in front of my parents, in front of one of my middle school teachers, a bunch of the firefighters that were in my fire company and another fire company. I was the hometown guy. Which
Literally.
literally was the hometown guy. Like
Yeah.
I went to preschool a block away from this firehouse. Most of the people that were there were not saying they're for me, but if they had a fire company shirt on, they were there for me.
Gotcha.
And that's not me bragging and being a like self-centered jerk. The only reason they came was, I want to see Russell get his ass kicked tonight. Wrestling's fake. I want to see Russell get his ass kicked tonight. And
you did.
yeah, I got my ass kicked.
There you
I
go,
won,
at least you
I won the
hung
match. I won the match via disqualification. But I still got my ass kicked. Let's do this. Let's do this one.
So if there are any listeners out there that want to see Russell wrestle, come out this coming Saturday to Houston,
Delaware for 1CW First State Championship Wrestling.
Is it at the firehouse over there? Or?
Yes, it is at the firehouse in their engine in the engine bays. They clear out all the fire trucks and set up chairs and a wrestling ring, and we wrestle. And I want to say there's the men's wrestling company is First State Championship Wrestling. The female company that's attached to our company is called CCW, and it is I believe Capital Championship Wrestling, and they're attached to us primarily, and they have world renowned people that are coming in to wrestle. Girls that have been on AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor. I like to try to name drop with stuff with wrestling, because people's feelings will get hurt. That's like I said earlier, with wrestling, it's there's just as much drama in front of the screen as there is in the back. Most of the people that I wrestle with, that I've reffed, they can get along with each other, but there's some times where it's just
don't go together.
No. But it's one of those. It's only as dramatic as you can make it. If you come in, stay to yourself, and go home, and do your job, that's half of anything now in any job is come in, keep your head low, and go home. Do your job and go home. That's
primarily what needs to be done. I mean, at the end of the day, it's got to be tough on the body, and totally. I mean, the fact that you still do it. I mean, you do it as a release.
Yeah.
And it helps you out. In the long run.
I can act like most of the time I am a comedy wrestler. I'm not a douchebag, but I over exaggerate stuff with wrestling, because it's easier as the comedy wrestler to do stuff and be as obnoxious as I can be, and I can't do that at my real job.
Yeah,
I can't do that. I can't. Usually, when somebody calls 911, it's not because they're having a good day. The last thing they want to hear is humor or somebody trying to make light of the situation.
This is your release from that.
This is my release from that.
Which I totally understand. I mean,
my bosses have actually said that they want to come to one of my wrestling matches, but that's another thing. I'm afraid of my not employers coming to the wrestling match, but my supervisors coming to a wrestling match, because if I act like a complete jerk or say something out of line,
they're gonna think you're a totally different person.
Yeah. Like I'm one person at work, I'm at one person out of work.
Right,
But
which you're putting on an act while you're wrestling.
but your act is never like a bad guy.
no,
It's
I'm
never a heel.
I'm
It's-
never
it's-
I'm never a heel. I'm never
You're a face comedy act that sits there and makes fun of yourself to a certain degree, and you do things to have a joyful time and have someone laugh. Because once someone laughs, you've done your job.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, emotionally.
So one of the wrestlers, the last match we had, when we got to the back, he told me he actually had to hide his face from laughing so hard at me because we did what was called a pose off, where we'd stand there. He did his pose, I did my pose, but I did my pose to the point where I was
Show me your pose.
the.
Stand up and show me your pose right
Wait,
now.
wait.
You know what I mean?
No, go ahead and sit down. Show us your pose before you take the chip challenge,
Yes.
which we'll record and put on Instagram.
Okay.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. Show me your pose. What was that?
I just farted when I stood up, sat back
Jesus
down,
Christ.
sat back
See, we
down
talked about the
into my,
short, and this is what
sat
I'm
back
saying.
down into a
I smell
mouthful
it.
of fart.
I smell it.
You are the most.
That is
Oh,
crap.
my God.
Cheap
It's a
pop,
bodily function,
cheap
I
pop
get it.
for Cracker Barrel because that's where I ate lunch.
Cracker Barrel. What a name for a place that's nowhere around here, except for Rehoboth and Stevensville.
The
Because the place
Stevensville
was-
one was where I went.
Yes.
But yes, I got up, thought
Mm-hmm.
we were going to do, thought I was going to show you the pose, farted, and then sat back down straight into the fart.
Well,
like open mouth, sat down, and yeah.
So how does that taste?
Horrible.
Horrible. At least they're honest about it.
It's
you know?
horrible because, it wafted over to John before I could
I
even.
never smelled it. I'm literally 2 foot from your line of path. I never smelled your fart. And here's the thing: we're on Real Talk Eastern Shore, so we like the real talk. Like if you guys, that's real talk. Yo, my man farted. He tasted it like it was like gumbo or it was like a steak. And it was not good, plain and simple. So just remember, try to get in line when you do that. There's a fan blowing certain way. So, but I mean, that's the thing, that's part of what we have here, on this podcast. We try to do everything, real talk. We talk real. Everything's, legit. We don't sit here and, sugarcoat things because if it's sugarcoated, I'm going to eat it anyway. But, I mean, that's the biggest thing. So you were just saying something, John?
Yeah, I was just saying. So before we actually end this podcast, I want you guys to go on our Instagram and check out this video.
Yes.
Fuck you. Fuck you. And why did you take so long in getting a goddamn cup?
What? Yo, that's my audience. Leave my audience member alone. Like he was doing the best he could. You know what I mean? So like, what would you say a 1 in 10 skill? Like, how bad was that?
It hurts.
It hurts. How does it hurt? It burns or hurts?
It burns.
It burns. I mean, like 1 to 10 burn. 10 being the worst.
Well, out of 10, you wouldn't feel it because the nerve endings would
Burn. off.
burn off.
So where you at now? About a 7, 8.
Yeah, it just hurts.
Now,
Man.
listeners, if you have no idea what we're talking about, Russell just did the one chip challenge, which we recorded and posted on Instagram. Our page is Real Talk Eastern Shore Podcast, and you'll find this video.
It's crazy because I was sitting there trying to figure out the one chip challenge, what it was, and I seen it. It's been going on left and right. So we said, we'll get it. But the thing was, the challenge was eating a single chip, then waiting as long as possible for eating or drinking anything else. I think he beat it like 20 seconds. Like that's not long. But the good part about that is, he did it. He can say he did it. He can wear that medal of honor and that bravery on his chest when he goes in to wrestle next weekend and say, I did the one chip challenge. Russell the Love Muscle did that. He's a quarter way in the milk right now. How much do you think you're going to need? All of it?
enough to make me have dirty dairy milk farts tomorrow.
I would not get in your car for another 3 hours then.
Oh,
Like, it's gonna be bad in there. Like, that's impressive. Like, I gotta say. So with that being said, what would you say is the best thing about this? The fact that you did this challenge. Do you think you can do more challenges down the road possibly for us?
Oh God, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that'd be something like if there's something out. We're not gonna put you in the top. What is that Tide Pod challenge and stuff like that. We're not gonna put you in something the NyQuil chicken challenge or something. Like we ain't gonna put something that's gonna hurt you. Now if it hurts you, and the good thing is I have a little bit of medical experience and people around here do. We might do CPR on you. You're burping a lot, but I mean the good thing is like we will do whatever it takes to make sure that nothing bad happens. But I mean maybe you can start doing challenges for us. It'd be pretty cool. Little things here and there. Once in a while, because you like doing stuff like that.
Yeah, well, yes, and yes.
Oh, yeah, you have some issues there, buddy.
And you won't always have to do them alone.
Yeah,
Ron will do them with you.
I'm doing different challenges though, like my Speedo challenge. I got to put a whole bunch of socks and look like I'm packing. So I mean, that's
Lots of socks.
yes, a lot of socks. But you know what? That's fine. I'll have that sock theory. The good thing is, like, you look like you're calming down some, but you're turning red in the face badly.
Yeah, I am so glad that reading this, it says do not touch sensitive areas after that.
Yeah, thank God we're out in the open because you probably would have by now. I'm just saying. I mean, I probably would too. I mean,
It says do not eat if you are allergic to sensitive or blah, blah.
your tongue is blue.
I know it's blue.
Well, you've
it's
been
even
eating a
said-
Smurf.
Well, it's the blue. So
Yeah, it says
yeah,
in here
it's
it will
blue.
turn your tongue blue.
That means extreme heat.
that means it's a boy.
It's a boy. Whoa.
Keep out of reach of children. Keep
Yeah, why would
Do
you put
not-
it in your hands?
Do not eat if you are sensitive to spicy foods, allergic to peppers, nightshades, capsaicin, or are pregnant or have any medical conditions.
Are you
Oh
pregnant?
shit, you're screwed.
Are you pregnant?
No, but God damn it.
It's still hitting you?
Yes, it's now. It's not so much inside my mouth right now. It's the area right above,
Your areolas?
No,
Or
like-
your ovaries?
yeah.
Or,
like
You got,
right.
Yeah.
you got a couple pieces on the sides of
Yeah.
your mouth.
Oh, you fuckers.
yes. You got.
That's.
Or maybe
oh,
that's just blue from the.
No, that's not from the drink. That's from the chip.
No, that's meant from the.
Yeah,
chip,
from
yeah.
the chip. Yeah.
After touching the chip, wash your hands with soap and do not touch your eyes or other sensitive areas.
Thank God you got
Seek-
4 eyes. I mean, for great
Seek
sake.
medical assistance
Yeah, I
should you
mean-
experience difficulty breathing, fainting, or extended
You're
nausea.
having a very hard time talking. How are you in a
I
fainting
haven't
mood?
stuttered like this since I was 5.
Really?
Yes, I was actually in a speech pathology class, say that a couple times fast, when I was 5 years old.
But
Oh.
I have speech impediment too, so we get that. I understand.
But
totally.
I have not stuttered like that in a while.
Do you feel
In
like
a
you've
while.
done in a while?
In a while.
So you feel like you've done something accomplishment today.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about bringing good things and experiences that we experience every day from the average Joe and bringing out in light to everyone because everyone has struggles. Everyone has difficulties. The good thing is the difficulty was not getting the milk in your mouth quick enough. That's what it
Yeah,
seemed like.
that-
You know what I mean? So
I was.
I
can tell you right now that what I got some of the dust on my fingers, tasted it, and immediately knew this was going to be a bad fucking idea. When I ate the chip, eating the chip wasn't the problem because I didn't taste it. You don't taste it. It's when you swallow it, and
Burns all.
it all burns all the way down, and then I probably licked my lips, and
You're still doing it.
Yeah. How's your lips taste?
I can't feel my upper lip right now.
Feels numb.
Yeah.
Well, with that caterpillar on it, that's one of the reasons probably too.
Oh, winter is coming.
That is true. That is true. That is very true.
Shout out to you, Game of Thrones fans.
Yes, and also remember,
Never watched a minute of it in my life. But I do it for the memes.
There you go. I mean, at the end of
for
the
the
day,
rolls.
yes. So I mean, this is real pepper, real heat. You gotta give shout out to the one chip challenge winner here at our location. Maybe we'll start getting our guests to do that, and if they can beat Russell at that, maybe we'll give them like a hand clap, and there we go. Well, that's their winning their prize. But I mean, at the end of the day,
He must not want any more guests.
no, but, man, we're starting to struggle for
It's
guests.
better than giving them the clap.
Wow. The gift that keeps on giving. But we won't get into any of that today, definitely. That might be something down the road that we talk about. I've never experienced. John's never
Nope.
experienced.
I definitely thought I had something going on years ago. Then I found out, no, Russell, you're a diabetic. And I about jumped out of the chair and clicked my heels when the doctor told me that.
Which is a big plus. At the end of the day, he's a healthy, young, strapping man.
No.
Hey, you just go with my flow. So,
No, I when I turned 30, my body said, fuck you, we're falling apart.
yes. Which that happens sometimes. But you're right now at the point of life where you want to be happy, you want to enjoy life. You've been
I'm
through a
at
lot
the point
of
of
stuff.
life where I could be a grandfather, and I have no kids.
You're at a point in life that your hair is receding, but I'm not getting into that. Okay.
And if I let my beard grow out, I'm finding grays in my beard.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world.
I've been
I have grace
bald.
on my chest hair.
You have chest hair?
Some, a little
I don't
bit.
want to
like
know. I don't want
four.
to see it. I'm
I've
just
never-
saying,
okay.
Ask for it, though.
Okay,
I mean,
I've never
know
seen your
about it.
chest hair, but you also always kept your hair beyond high and tight. Like, you shaved your head, John. Like,
Because I got grace.
I didn't know you had grays, but you also never grew your facial hair out either.
Oh, it
Like-
does every once in a while now. He
What, his
look-
fatherhood made you do that?
Yeah, I've got lazy.
that ginger comes
The
out
dad
slowly but
bod.
surely. Yes,
Dad will come out.
it's
The
amazing.
Peruvian redheaded dad bod.
Yes, like it's amazing because if you think about it, I remember when John would come into the bar, he was clean cut, all nice, like he was like he was going to come in there.
Girls
Yeah.
were like, "Ooh, he's mysterious." And
Now I
then,
know
and, then,
why.
and then they come home, and then he'd be like, "Why does Russell live with you?" Because I felt sorry for him.
That's right. But at the end of the day, we feel sorry.
Why'd
for-
you kick him out? Because I
I
couldn't
felt-
feel sorry for him anymore.
Wow. Totally blowing up our spot, which is fine. I'm cool with that. Just remember we got the dump button next time. Edit. But it's okay. That's fine with that. How's your mouth?
Better now. It hurts for like the first couple minutes, and now it's like eating. It feels like horseradish now. It feels okay. So
It feels like horseradish or
the-
it tastes like horseradish?
So when I say feels like horseradish, the
I didn't know horseradish had feels.
the Hers kettle cooked chips, the horseradish and cheddar. I don't know what happens at the factory, but one side will get slathered in horseradish and cheddar powder. The other side will be clear and clean. Nothing. That's what it tastes like now is horseradish. Like afterwards, I feel like my nostrils are clean. Like,
Here's my problem that you just gave someone a plug that we don't got no sponsorship from. Don't do that.
we can do that.
We do no. We give no plugs.
I've plugged
No
Gatorade.
plug.
I've plugged.
Don't plug nobody.
I've plugged
If you
Cracker
plug
Barrel.
One more time, we're gonna dump you.
What about the
completely
Pockies?
off. Well, everyone
the-
knows what the one chip challenge.
The one
is.
chip challenge is.
But overall, I gotta say, Russell.
I mean,
you've
I ate a Dairy Queen Oreo the dirt Oreo Blizzard today. Another cheap plug.
Well, that's good. Well, you keep them plugs to yourself, except for your butt plug. You can keep that to yourself too. But as I was saying, it's been a great time. I'm glad that you're doing good for yourself now. I'm glad you're doing wonders. I mean, you're doing things that helps the community to a certain degree, and you give laughs and joy, and you actually fix people to a certain degree as well. And that's something that you can't,
I
put a
fixed
price
them until
on.
the hospital, and then, actually, my partner fixes them. I get them to the hospital as safely as I can.
And that's still another part, because if they can't get to the hospital, it don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's the biggest thing people got to realize. And to be honest with you, you know, like I said, you know, from when I met you, you were this awkward. I just thought like you were a loner. People didn't understand you. And then when you start talking, I kind of understood why you did what you
they
did.
thought I was that. Well,
But at the same time, it didn't deter me from talking to you and
No.
knowing you. And you are a good person. You know, the biggest thing is, like, a lot of people don't realize that, because they look at Russell and they know Russell because Russell likes to be outlandish every once in a while and cause a scene, because you do have this thing called attention.
Horishness.
Well, yeah. Well, it's attention.
A dirty attention whore.
Yes, you do have that. That's the truth of the matter. That is a very good statement. Wouldn't you agree, John?
Yes.
You know.
That I'm a,
and,
I'll say it again. Dirty attention
yes,
whore.
Yes, and the thing is, like, sometimes, you know, you use that you think it's an advantage, but it's not. You know.
Oh no! I mean,
it didn't tear away. I was like, oh,
Didn't I poke somebody one night in their stomach and they turned around and slapped my stomach, and somebody caught it on camera and put it on slow-mo, and you could see my stomach jiggle, jiggle, jiggle,
It was
jiggle,
rippling.
jiggle.
It was rippling.
Oh yeah,
It was pretty impressive.
I was
You know what
impressed.
I mean,
I got pantsed. I lost one of those
But
infamous.
it was cold. It was cold.
It
out
doesn't
there.
matter.
It was cold.
Let me finish the story.
No one cares about that story, because no one
about it because
they can go see you next weekend, and keep in their mind. See, it's all about mental, because if the mind controls what they see, they will see it in their mind. Keep that in mind. All right, mine? Yes, that's mine. So, with that being said, like I always say, it is what it is. If you ain't got haters, you ain't living life right.
And thank you for listening to our podcast. Remember, we also have a YouTube page and an Instagram, Real Talk Eastern Shore Podcast. And one last thing. If you see Russell next Saturday, bring him a one-chip challenge. Thank you.
He will do it again and again, because this guy
I'm a
is
glutton for punishment.
He loves that stuff. So, for everyone out there in the listening world, wherever you are, thank you for listening to us. Have a good afternoon and have a good night.